Hey, folks. Just closing the door there. Welcome to the first, I guess, my first solo edition for the most part of delivering an update to the Pack Stacker community. Tonight, we're going to be talking about PSA grading. So, my name's Crane, and it's nice to connect with everybody. Looking forward to the conversation. And I want to be very upfront and say I am no expert at what we're about to cover. I am a novice, but a novice that has a little bit more experience. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead of the pack stacker community who hasn't been in the hobby for too long. So I'll tell you everything I know. If you have questions, please pepper those into the chat, and the team's gonna bring those up for me. Hey everybody. And so I'll do my best to answer any questions. If there's any open-ended questions that I can't answer tonight, I'll get the answer after this, and then we'll get them to you. So without further ado, we can bring up the slides. Again, this is nothing special here. I just wanted to put basically some basics down of the process of, hey, these are the steps that you're going to need to go through to prep an order for PSA. And then afterwards, we can talk about, hey, here's a few specific examples of cards that look good, but I wouldn't necessarily send in for grading. So trying to give some examples to everybody in the community about just how specific and how minute of a detail or a blemish on a card that can be a reason not to send into a grading service like PSA. So let me jump in here, see if these slides are going to work for me. There we go. So this is the PSAcard.com website. Once you go in and create an account, you're going to see this and get very familiar with this. Very straightforward. You're going to click that start button. Again, once you've created your account, little side note, you can sign up for PSA's annual membership fee or membership essentially for a fee. And it does get you access to slightly lower grades. And it also gets you access to certain promotions or specials that they'll run. So those can be helpful. Decide for yourself if it's worth it for you, depending on how much you're going to be grading to get that or not. So let me make this a little. I can't make it a little bigger. But the first screen you're going to see when you click on that blue submit button, it's going to take you here, and you're going to start your new submission. So that button is pretty straightforward. Then you're going to get into, well, what are you actually submitting to PSA? Is it a trading card? Is it an oversized trading card? Is it coins, pins, packs, tickets? So for us, at this point in time, we're looking at the trading cards section or the packs section. Those are the two that you're going to be interested in here. So for this example, we're going to run with cards themselves. So we've got trading cards selected. Then we're going to move into the submission type. Now, really, the main one that you need to worry about or to always select is grading. Review, crossover, and reholder are not items that you're going to need for your first time submitting, right? Just so you know, crossover is if you have a card that's graded from a different service. So if it was Beckett graded or CSG or CGC, that's when you do a crossover or a reholder. Let's say something goes wrong with the card, or you just want it reholdered because you want they mislabeled it and you want them to fix it. That would be a reholder. But 99.9% of the time, you're going to be selecting grading, and then you're going to have the pop-up on the right-hand side that you see. Hey, is it an autograph authentication? Is it a no autograph authentication? You're going to want to select no autograph authentication for most of your cards. And if you've got a card autographed, that's a different selection. You're going to want to select. Yeah, there we go. That's a good call out, Torab. I'll mention that here in a little bit. But yeah, so you're going to select no autograph authentication, and they give you an example of what that's going to look like, right? So you can see they've got the grade on there. If you look down at the other examples, you'll see, oh, these have autograph authentications, or these have autograph authentications but no grade, things of that nature. All right. So the next screen it's going to take you to is the service level. So you have a lot of options here. There's a couple main ones that I think that the pack stacker community will choose most often. So the most frequent is going to be that value $25 submission. We're early on. There's not a lot of comps for Bitcoin trading cards. So if you've got a card, there's a PSA looks up the value based on eBay comps or comps that they can find out in the wild. I don't think they're going to know many places to search for where we buy and sell cards just yet. So you can submit through value that $25 fee, or if you're submitting a lot of cards, so 20 or more cards, you can go down here to the value bulk and select 1980 to present, and then that's going to be $6 cheaper, so $19 if you're sending a bunch of cards together. All right, next up is item entry. So this is a key one. So let's spend a couple minutes here. We've got all Bitcoin trading card series that are out to date submitted into PSA. The PSA research team has uploaded those. I know there's a few gaps that the community has been calling out of. Hey, this card is called this, but it's listed as that. The short update or answer I would give you guys for when you can't see exactly what you're looking to submit is to just take the base of it. So the 2022 in this case, Bitcoin trading cards, orange pill in a pack, series one, and then edit the card information from that point. Make it make it accurate, right? What you put on there, they're gonna use that as the base to go do their research to vet that card. So you can manually, if you don't see it exactly what you're looking for, you can update it and edit it to be what you need it to be or what you know it to be. And then you're going to also declare a value on that. So depending on the service level that you choose, you can select up to X dollar amount. So for value, it's $4.99 is your max. For if you go on up, you can go to $14.99 max or $24.99 max, depending on the service level. I'd recommend whatever service level you're going with, go ahead and max it out, whatever that allows you to max it out at, because that's going to affect your insurance coverage on the shipment back to you. All right. And just again, a call out that when you start typing into the description field, it's going to populate items that it's got in the system. So we've sent all of the cards for every series so far. I'm sure the system, again, we still have to continue to let them know when it doesn't populate all the cards. But as we help the system by manually inputting cards, it will continue to update over time as well. So just know, again, if you don't see exactly what you're looking for, edit it, you'll be good to go. Now, we've talked in the main thread on Telegram about, hey, I've heard some recommendations. If you're going to submit this card, it's got these issues, it's not going to grade well, just authenticate it. So going back through here, and I'm learning as I go as well, but you can submit the card in this same submission type, so that no autograph authentication, but you can clarify in the comments down here, hey, this order is for authentication only. Please do not give any of the cards in this order grades. I'd recommend separating your submissions. So you can do multiple submissions and send them in the same package, but they can be boxed in smaller boxes separately. And so you'll have a barcode that's on each box. So when PSA gets them, they're going to scan the barcodes. They're going to know, oh, this is order number 1, 2, and 3. They're all in this box. So I personally have separated out my authentication only order. So I recently sent over 30 cards in, and I had 4 different orders in that single shipment. And one of those orders was just all of the cards I wanted to submit as authentication only. There's certain cards like the BitShark card, which has, due to the creation process, there was a bunch of scratches on the back. I know it would not ever grade well, but I want it in a PSA slab and I want it authenticated. So that's what I did. I said, hey, this order is authentication only. Please do not give any grades. A key thing to note too is as the process happens, as PSA takes the cards through their process of grading, you will have the opportunity to review what they have found prior to them putting it in the PSA slab. So they will send you an email when it's time for you to go in and approve the information that they have for each card. So just know you'll be able to lay eyes on what they see as what they're about to put in the slab before they do it. So if you go and it's an authentication only order, but they have grades on it, you can call that out. Say, hey, I did not want grades on this. This is authentication only. This is incorrect. Please update that. All right. So you've gone through the difficult part. You've got all of the information in. Oh, let me back up. As you put in, and PSA gives you all this documentation. This is nothing you won't get reiterated to you by PSA. But when you put in the cards, make sure that you're paying attention to the order in which you put them in, because that is the exact same order you need to pack and ship the cards in. So if you had 10 cards, you need to go through and stack them in order to how they were listed in the submission. If not, you'll still be fine, but PSA is going to charge you for the time and effort it takes them to figure out, oh, well, which card was number one, which card was number two. So the order that you put them in into your submission needs to be the order that you send them in a stack. Okay, then we get to how do I want to get these cards back? PSA has an option where you can send it to their vault or you can send it back to yourself. You choose what you want to do. If I'm shipping back to myself, I'm always doing the insured shipping. So that you choose what you want, but if you got high value cards or if you have cards you really don't want to be out at a loss if they go missing, you want that insured shipping. All right, so that's the PSA process. Once you get to that point, again, you're going to get updates throughout the way. I want to get into now kind of some of the gear that I use to prep these cards and get them sent off, and then we can go through that process. But let me stop right there to see if there's any questions that have been coming up in the chat. Take a quick peek. Okay, so they do not have Genesis pack information. The Whale 23 unconfiscatable cards, they do not have that information either. Now, what we will be doing, or what Aladdin will be doing, so I'll pass the torch to Aladdin when it comes to the relationship with PSA, so that he can stay in touch with them and send in the bulk information, right? So a lot of people tried to submit to PSA early on, and they had the cards returned to them because there was insufficient information for them to vet. So now that we've got the relationship with PSA, we will be able to send them the full information ahead of the packs releasing, so that the information should be up to speed once they're out. I don't think that's the case with Genesis packs, or I know that's not the case with Genesis packs. And I want to also be clear that unconfiscatable is not in there either. So those will come. Check in with the Telegram group and with Aladdin to understand, hey, does PSA have this yet? If it's not populating in the system, you can be sure that it's not in there yet. You can always manually enter it and send it in, but you do run the risk if they don't have that pre-populated, then they could send it back, and then you're out a little bit of money. So I would be patient. Make sure to check in on the Telegram room and wait until they have the full set information uploaded. All right. Any other questions? So just Pacific 22, S1, S2, and yeah. So we've got all the commemorative packs up to this point. The only thing they don't have is Genesis and the unconfiscatable, and then the Whale packs that just came out. All right. Keep shooting those questions out if you got them. Happy to stop and take a break and take a breather. All right, so I wanted to share when I'm packaging up cards. Yeah, I see the question on the card open and prep. We'll definitely get that. Um, all right. Hang on just a second. Hold off the screen. Okay. So the card saver, I've got all the links to this. I'll post these in the Telegram room after this. But to send in the cards, PSA, well, all grading services want like a card saver one type holster. They don't want top loaders. They want the semi rigids, and so you definitely are going to want to grab those if you're sending in. There's also PSA specific sleeves that you can then put the card saver in. So for my orders, if especially if they're higher end cards, you know, you want to keep dust out of there. You want to keep, you know, the cards from shifting during transit as well. So the bottom left there, the sleeves that you can put the card savers in, is just one added layer of protection. It also keeps dust and debris from getting into the card and into the sleeve, because if there's dust in that makes its way in during shipping, that will impact the grade of the card. If there's a strand that's hanging off the edge of a card, they're not going to clean it for you. So there we go. And then the ding defenders on the right hand side there, you can just stack those on. So let's say you have 10 cards, you're going to put those together on the card and then ship that, so you keep the edges nice and clean and protected. This is an example from left to right. You've got the card saver one by itself. Then in the middle and on the right, you see there's the PSA sleeve that has been put on there to keep that card safe and keep that protected. All right, so want to get into some examples here of, hey, why might a grader ding or remove, let's say every card starts at a 10. Why would a grader might lower that grade? So we've got 5 examples. Want to run through those and give you guys some examples of what might happen when they're grading it. So if you're taking a look at this, look for yourself, see whatever you can see, and understand, or try to understand, like have an idea of why this would not be a PSA 10. And again, I'm not a professional grader. These are just my best guesses here. So if you see anything, call it out in the chat, and let's see if we can get some ideas of what's wrong with this one, and potentially where the issues might be. There we go. We got it. The line on the top right. That's exactly right. So when you're looking at this card, and certain cards in the Series 2 set are prone to the same issues over and over. I saw this a lot when opening packs with S2 for Nat Brunel specifically. That is a problem area on almost all the cards that I saw. So that is a roller pinch or roller scratch that you can see that came. So as the cards are going across the line, you can see where a roller it went too far. And in person, you can see that it's indented. Sometimes you get print lines. This in the case, it was like a roller pinch and it left surface damage. Tora, same. The Lisa cards are notorious for damage. It's very hard to get some of these cards clean, especially, and we've got some examples of this coming up with Destroy Your Illusions and the Crumb cards. Those are really prone to damage as well. So nicely done on example number 1. Let's look at example number 2. Any ideas what's going on here? And these will get hopefully tougher as we go through these, but I just want to highlight how difficult it is, and how microscopic you have to get to make sure that what you're sending in is going to be worth your money to send in. Yep, edges, scratch, yeah. All right, so in this one, we've got a few surface damage issues, right? We've got print lines on the right-hand side We got residue that's just on that right hand side that's above the print line, and then we've got another print line in the top left. Again, these might seem silly to folks that are not used to grading, but these will absolutely ensure that this is not a PSA 10. If I doubt this would get a 9 either, because it's got significant surface damage. So just be aware. Yeah, some printing dots as well. That'll do it. All right, example 3. So this is one of those ones that I've seen a lot of damage, and it's very hard to get a Destroy Your Illusions that is clean. That's another reason why you got to be careful if you're buying on eBay or anywhere. Like, make sure that they are good high-res photos that the seller has posted, so that you can, and if an ideal seller is going to say, here's the damage, this is why the price is what it is, I've adjusted for that, or something along those lines. But looking at this picture, it's very hard to tell what's going on with this card, but it's one of the most damaged cards that you could possibly imagine. You've got two in. I know it doesn't look bad in the picture. It's really hard to get the picture to light up in just the right way. But those two print lines going across the horizontally go entirely from the far right to the far left, the entire card. And then it's tough to see, but there are two more diagonal print roller lines that go across from the far left all the way up to the top center. So just be mindful of that. Pictures can be deceiving. Make sure that you are vetting any card that you're purchasing, and ask for those high-res photos, and ask if there are any print roller lines or anything like that. Okay, so example number 4, we got 2 left. This is number 4 here. What do we think is going on with this card? Why might this card go down a grade or 2 or 3? What are we seeing here? Yeah, scratch bottom left. Yep. Centering is off. Great. Exactly. So we've got a print line that goes from the full bottom of the card all the way through the top. Again, it's tough to see. Tried to highlight those here with the boxes, but you called centering is off as well. That's absolutely the case. I'm going to go back to this picture, and so folks, pay attention to the width of the black border on the left and versus the width of the black border on the right. It may not seem like much, but in the card world, in the grading world, this will absolutely be looked at and be brought down grade wise because it is off center. All right, so our final example here. What is going on with this card? And I know this one's a tough one, but let's see what we've got here. You guys are on a roll. You've been nailing them. All right, let's run into this one. So this one's a tough one. It's a bit of a trick question, right? The damage is most visible on the back of this card. So again, make sure if you're buying cards, you're getting front, back, high-res photos of each. And so this one has got damage on the top corner you can see the white of the card. And so it's got, Coil, you're right. It's got some surface damage, but the main thing, especially with S1 cards, especially the ones with the black edges, a problem in grading, you'll hear a lot of people talking about is edging. So if you see that white popping up it doesn't have to be on the corner, it can be anywhere on the sides of the card. That's called edging, and that's absolutely gonna be a ding in the grading process. So again, especially on the commons, if you see any edging at all, I would not send commons in. But if you're, the higher the value of the card or the more rare the card, the more lenient I personally am when I'm sending in for grading. So if it's a really nice card and I don't think it's going to 9 or 10, but I'm okay with an 8 or a 7 because it's a great card. Just sometimes there's a sliding scale, right? And you're going to have to figure this out for yourself, but just pay attention to that. The other thing specifically on the Pacific Bitcoin cards, on the bottom corners often, and then sometimes across the bottom edge, there can be almost like a white or grayish residue. So you can just be mindful of that as well. That will absolutely ding you there on the grade. So that's it, folks. That's what I had for tonight. I know we've talked about sleeving, and so we've talked about what not to do or how not to sleeve. Let me grab a couple different types of sleeves, and we'll do that real quick. And if you have any other questions, please bring them up. All right. So with your standard sleeves, here, you got to be careful popping these in. What I do when I get a fresh pack of these is I take all the sleeves out and take a razor blade and cut right through one of the edges, and I just have the stack and run through that. I've done that forever. And it works. It helps the card slide in very easily. And one of the companies that I like that I've tried out recently and I've enjoyed their product so far is Shells. So what they do that's different is they go ahead and pre-cut the corner, one of the two corners for you. It's that one right there. So that's going to allow that card to slide in. Again, if you're comparing it to just that straight edge of a premium sleeve, normal sleeve, this just allows that card to slide in, no problem, and it saves me the time of having to go through and cutting each one. So make sure you're not dinging the corners when you're putting when you're putting cards in. That's a shame when you are trying to put a card in and then you damage a corner trying to protect that card. So. I appreciate it, you guys. Glad it was helpful. And if there's anything else, obviously I'm always around to help. But yeah, if there's any other questions, happy to take them. Otherwise, that's it for me. I do not have a centering overlay guide. I have never used one of those overlays for centering. I've just always eyeballed it. So I'm not definitely not a pro there, but I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there for some of those overlays. I honestly don't know if they work. I have no experience with them. They will not grade a box, Diamond Hand. They will grade packs and they will grade individual cards. I wish I had packs to rip. I'm a fiend when I get boxes and packs in my hand. It's they're getting ripped. Thanks, Coyle. Appreciate it, man. Thanks, AC. Yeah. All right. Well, it seems like the questions have come through. Thanks again, everybody, for taking the time to come in and check this out. Hopefully, it's helpful and can help the pack stacking community to get some tens out there. I'm excited to see what is out there here in the next, let's say 6 months. I'll follow up at some point with a video on how to check the PSA pop report. So as grading is happening, we can all go and access how many of each specific card have been graded, and how many were graded at each level. So if you wanted to go and see how many Cypherpunk's S1 cards had been graded, you can absolutely go check that out, and you can see how many got a 10, a 9, all the way. So that is going to be available for us as well. So it's going to be super interesting to start looking at those reports as more and more PSA cards get sent in. I want to make sure also, closing thought, when you're shipping the cards, make sure that you find a way to get insurance. So the USPS allows as much as $1,000 worth of insurance on a package. Up to over that, you're out over your skis. If a package goes bye-bye, that's it. So I would love to learn from everyone here what packaging or what shipping options that you have used, or how we can best ensure these gems that we've got in our hands. So look forward to continuing the conversation in the Telegram thread.